Hello everyone, welcome back to Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. So today's topic is about finding happiness because it's the thing that almost everyone has in common. We might think we're going towards it in different ways and we want different things, but the biggest block to things like connecting with your life's purpose, your spirit guides, your ability to be in full alignment with everything that you need in this life is an inability to understand your personal happiness, what would amplify it, what goes into it, what constitutes it. And part of the reason that we struggle with this is that we live in a world that tries to tell us what will make us happy. And frequently people pursue those things because it's all about a very chasing mentality. What do you need to get to bring towards you? What do you lack? Which is literally a lack mindset. We're always trying to break down the law of attraction around here and make it work for more people. I, in particular, try to help the law of attraction work for people who have significant trauma, which encompasses a lot of people. We live in a traumatizing world. Every time you turn around, something that really makes you practically crap your pants has happened on the world stage. And we live in tense times, so we are a tense people. And tension is one of the things that is a blocking energy as well. So I'm going to break down how to start identifying what makes you happy, how to disconnect from exterior influence that is telling you how to be happy and it's not working for you because you know you're not happy. We're going to look at some of those ways to do that, what might be influencing you, some of the theories behind connecting as well. Before I do that, let's get to the housekeeping real quick. If you need to find me, you can find me at therisingmoon.com. That is the only way to book me. I will never approach you in comment sections and DMs. If you get a message, it is not from me. It is someone impersonating me. All people with a social media presence who do a lot of online reading, I have a tendency to have somebody impersonating them. But it's not me. We don't cold call you, as Jacob used to say. You can find me at Tarot at the Rising Moon on YouTube, which is where the video versions of this particular podcast go up. You can find me at my Patreon, which is Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. All of these things will be linked in the episode notes in the description box down below. And in my Patreon, we are just completing a year's worth of study on how to deal with negative emotions, negative feelings, so that you can recalibrate yourself into a positive, or actually a neutral state, and then choose to go into a positive state. We manifest from a positive state. So we've been developing a method over there because I'm trying to teach people how to manifest without the need for magical ritual. Because there are some risks inherent in that, and it's better to be a little bit trained and really well read. But everyone has a magic within them, the ability to create their own reality, and so trying to connect to that. And we do, in many ways, create our own reality, which is why finding the things that would make you happiest is such a challenge. Because when the law of attraction teaches itself well, but it leaves out the key components of what do you do with the negative energy. And if you look at the structure of an atom, there is negative, there is positive, and there is neutral energy. And that is the same of any construction of reality. And so you are meant to have some negative thoughts, you're meant to have some negative feelings. It's just part of being human. Learning how to examine them without allowing them to dictate your choices and dictate how you feel is one of the things that we are challenged with. So, of course, this, kind of circles back to the Life's Purpose podcast I did, where what do you do first? First, you heal. And the thing that you need to understand is that healing is frequently not fun. And we do not talk about it in spirituality. They seem to talk about, like, you'll connect and it'll be this blissful thing. And first, there is what is referred to as the long, dark night of the soul. But the long, dark night of the soul is actually your passageway through your own valleys, trying to understand your own negative energy, that counterbalancing energy that the structure of reality needs. That's what the long, dark night of the soul really is an understanding or a dwelling in your negative energy to be able to release it, to take a different perspective on it, or to heal the wounds that caused it in the first place. Many people are wounded by their childhood experience through caretakers who didn't encourage them, didn't help them foster their executive functioning, confidence in self. There's a lot of reasons people struggle. And there are people who will say, well, that's just a modern day thing. People used to get all kinds of stuff done and not worry about whether or not their emotional world was in order. They didn't have that luxury. They were all in survival mode. We have reached a stage in our development in which the basics of survival are within reach and provided by our society around us. Now, they're within reach of fewer and fewer people, but we're talking about the basics of food and shelter, clean water, all of the things that our ancestors really had to put a lot of energy into maintaining, including and in particular their food sources. And so part of the reason that this has only become an area of focus within recent times is that we have evolved to a point where it is finally no longer the most pressing question. As a developed world, we have created infrastructure in a good percentage of the world. There is still a percentage of the world that does not have a strong infrastructure, and frankly the ones with a strong infrastructure kind of feed off the ones with a weaker infrastructure, and that's all the politics and power games that in order to find your happiness, we're going to get to the topic now, in order to find your happiness you have to learn how to disengage from the things that are trying to influence you so that they can use your power to achieve its goals. And we're going to not use gendered or personified terms around that because they are political power structures. They are just power structures. They try to help you seek to define who you are, what you believe, what you will back, what you will commit your energy to. But what you are really doing is following somebody else's path when you do that. And so the steps towards finding personal happiness is first recognizing that as not being something you need to defend. No one is accusing you of anything if you are told, and it is true of everyone, it was true of me, it is true of everyone, most of the things you believe, you were taught to believe. You were taught to how to view other people. Part of a spiritual journey is recognizing the false lessons that we were taught and reteaching ourselves ones that are better. It's that simple. We are reaching for the best version of ourselves that we can be when we're on a spiritual journey. Spirituality comes with a kind of whimsical tag to it that, please remember, what we're really talking about is you know your own mind, you know your own thoughts, you know your own dreams, you know where your mind wanders when you are all by yourself. And there is nothing there to distract you. But there is a lot of weight and many agendas on the idea of trying to distract you, trying to make sure that you are not trying to accomplish your goals, but rather working in service of the goals of a greater reaching power structure. And that's the it in this. So first you have to learn how to disengage from it a little bit more than you are. And you don't have to do it some counts. That is the thing that people don't understand. Healing journeys are difficult and some counts. It's okay to make steady and slow progress. You do not have to reach your destination immediately. What you want is for things to get better. If you start going towards a healing journey, things will get better. But first, they might get a little bit worse. It's a little bit like trying to treat a skin condition, which I used to have really terrible acne. It's part of the reason that I aged well was I was always getting peeled and stuck and all kinds of things to try and mitigate a tendency towards acne. It finally just cleared up and went entirely away. And it left me with some, great skincare habits because of that. So I'm not complaining about it. But what happens when you undertake a new skincare regime is there's something called purging, where whatever's in your skin that's not supposed to be there, and as you're rebalancing it, it will look terrible. It is one of the things with most skincare treatments is you're going to look worse before you look better. Apply that to spirituality. You're probably going to feel a little bit like, oh, God, this is hard work. No wonder I didn't do this before. This is really depressing and difficult, and I'm confronting every part of myself that I've struggled with. But it's very, very worthwhile to do because at the end of that journey, you have a lot of pride in yourself for undertaking something that might have been a difficult path and frequently is for many, many people. It's why we choose that path when we've chosen a challenging path. And people have the hardest time with that concept is that you chose your path. And it's like, why would I have chosen this? Do I not like me? No, you like you so much that you know you can do it. And the first thing you have to do when you're healing is make a commitment to yourself. A lot of people are looking for love. A lot of people are looking for a partner. A lot of people are looking for their person because they want to find happiness in an exterior structure. And it will only really be retained when you have found it within first. And it's not as challenging as it sounds. First, you confront your stuff. You give yourself permission to go ahead and be like, where was I wrong? Because that is the key to learning more, is admitting when we're wrong. I'm wrong, like I'll probably be wrong later today 4 or 5 times. It's a natural thing. But every time I'm wrong and I take the steps to learn what went wrong, I then have learned more and I've expanded my skill set. And guess what? That's one of the things that makes me happy. And this entire healing journey taught me that, is that skill acquisition is something that really gives me a feeling of accomplishment. And it doesn't have to be what other people consider a skill. It's just something new to me. I'll use my example as my neighbor 3 years ago gave me one of her spider plant babies, and now I am like nurturing one of its young to a bigger size after I made that one flourish and grow. That's not a big deal, right? Many people grow plants. I've never been any good at it. For someone who can do kitchen witchery and all kinds of things, I never had a green thumb until recently. And so I was really, really proud of that, because it is an expansion of skill and an expansion of power. And that is what healing is being able to look at your stuff and say, okay, I get why I'm anxious, I get why I'm angry, I get why I'm jealous. And those overreaching power structures that we're talking about, the reason that you need to disconnect from them in order to find what will make you happiest is they're trying to tell you what will make you happy. And literally all of them in a consumerist society are telling you, you need to buy something, you need to have something, you need to get something that you don't have. It's called comparing and despairing, particularly seen in social media circles, where you cannot help but compare yourself to the often curated for a perfect experience image that is given to you. And then you feel worse about yourself, and you are what? You are less happy. The thing that you are doing to while away your hours because you don't know what will make you happy is actually influencing you to be discontent. Because it wants you to buy something, and it's that simple. It's that simple. It wants you to think certain things, it wants you to buy certain things, and it wants you to do certain things. Every algorithm that you interact with has studied your buying habits, what you Google, what you're interested in, to try and give you the ads that it wants to so that you will buy what it is selling. And the problem with that is not that there's anything wrong with material things. If you only feel happy with material things, listen, things get tarnished, they break, it's not a good source of happiness. It really isn't. It's okay to like a pretty thing and be like, I really would like that beautiful whatever it might be, because it's beautiful and I would admire it and I would feel tremendous gratitude for it, and I would love it even more as it began to wear, because I would have known the journey that it took to get it. There's nothing wrong with that. But your entire society wants you to live in that state constantly of, what am I trying to get to? Because they want you forward leaning, and they want you constantly in a state of discontent, because you won't get much done if you're not very happy. Happy people get a lot of stuff done. But they also put less pressure on themselves to do what other people tell them to do. And so the very first thing that you do when you're trying to find happiness is start curating your experience to limit the amount of exterior influence. But please pay attention to the concept that some counts. If you spend hours every night on the phone, then make this commitment to yourself. If you're looking for somebody to commit to you, be first in line and commit to you. It's kind of that simple. If you want something to come along, make your first commitment to, I will commit to doing that which is best for me so that I can find my answers. And by the way, when you're in a happy state, your guidance, your intuition is on a very high level. You hear your guides easily, you get your guidance easily, you are easily warned even about things that might be perilous. And I might go into that later and I might not, because we're going to keep going on we're trying to get away from the idea of influence from an exterior source. Now, is this an exterior source? Of course, but we reach for our learning tools, and then what you do with it is your choice. But what you might want to do is you set aside no phone time, no device time. Limit it to one device might be another way to do it. If you like to scroll on TikTok, set an alarm, and at the 60-minute mark, at the 30-minute mark, at the 15-minute mark, notice I'm going down and down and down. You want to set it aside. And I will tell you why. Even though I like TikTok, I'm advising people to stay a little bit away from it, because it's very easy to spot how it is being used as a tool in the United States currently. It keeps getting these 90-day extensions to being removed. It's the users in the United States who are relying on it for their income in a constant state of anxiety. And people who are constantly anxious do not take risks. They don't want you trying to do anything new. They want you to do the stuff they're telling you to do. So the algorithm itself is designed to be addictive, keeping you coming back and coming back and coming back. The audience has a tendency to reward these curated experiences where everything looks perfect, and isn't your home wonderful? And I bet it even smells good, and oh my God, look at the inside of your refrigerator compared to mine. Comparing and despairing. The first step is you have to figure out where you're comparing yourself, because at the root of comparison is the word envy. What do you have that I don't? And envy is not bad. We're going back to the structure of an atom, and you're meant to have that negative stuff. You're meant to have that neutral stuff, and you're meant to have that positive stuff. Deal with the negative, recognize where it's coming from, so you can stand in the neutral, choose to go towards the positive, and you begin to manifest from there. And sometimes what we're manifesting is happiness. So limit your exterior influence and identify what truly interests you. The easiest way to do that is to please remember when you were 9 and 10 years old, you had begun to develop your independent interests. You were no longer fully dependent on your parents. You were capable of independent thought and choice. And so you went towards things that truly interested you. The seeds of what will reignite that fire within you are at that age. And if you're like, but I only liked fairy tales, it's like, well then, try reading some fantasy books, try watching some science fiction, try going towards the adult versions of what used to light you up when you were a kid. If you're like, but I liked playing firemen, well, that's okay too. Maybe you want to do some games that have to do with displaying heroics. Maybe you want to volunteer because that is a form of inhabiting heroic energy. You're identifying the energy that you admired because you admired what will make you happiest. Look at yourself when you were 9 to start identifying what interests you should go towards. But the single most important key is to be able to disconnect from external influence on a regular basis so that you can identify how you're really feeling. And then the thing that people are always talking about is being present. And more than half of what I do in this particular podcast and in the readings that I give is these terms that are just treated like bumper stickers within spirituality. I break them down and explain what they really mean. Because we hear about being present, being grounded, being grounded. Specifically, how do we do this? Specifically, being present means that if you are spending a lot of time thinking about what you don't have, there is an element of envy in it. So you need to be able to be present in the moment to find what you do have, what you do appreciate, what is wonderful to you, because you're missing something no matter what your circumstances are. No matter what your circumstances are, there's something right now that is incredibly amazing. Our entire world is amazing. The things that we can do are amazing. I can sit in my bedroom at night and play healing recordings from YouTube that will help me meditate and help me connect, and these things are available to me for free. That is amazing to me. There is so much wonder even in the technology that is being used against us to keep us from creating. So you identify the ways in which the technology that is available to you that is almost interchangeable with magic, and some of the ways that it can really be astounding. You can find how to get somewhere from the other side of the world, and it will be reliable information because we have satellite information beamed across the world. Now, science and magic, what is it? Any sufficiently advanced science can be interchangeable with magic. That's a bastardization of that particular saying, but it's within that scope, is that any sufficiently advanced science will be interchangeable with magic when it is observed, because it will be that like, holy crap, how'd you do that? We have so many holy crap, how'd you do that things that have developed within my lifetime. It is really impossible for somebody in my particular age group, I'm Gen X, to be bored with what's going on, because it's like, do you remember how Luddite the world was and how the evolution that we have experienced, we've seen the downsides, and there is a positive side, because that exact same thing that is trying to influence you to try and buy and think about yourself poorly so that you will always be in an anxious position so that you don't take a risk to be who you wish to be. And the easiest thing to do, again, disconnect and then simplify your life somehow. Identify 2 to 3 things that you're like, I don't really need this. I'm going to cut it out of my life, and make commitments to yourself for, I'm going to cut it out for 2 weeks. I'm going to cut it out for a month. I'm going to cut it out for 2 days. I'm going to cut it out for 3 days, and really examine the part it is playing within your life. We are taught to self-soothe in bad ways, and that is one of the ways that our society tells us to soothe our feelings, is to go towards something that ultimately makes us feel worse. So disconnect frequently, and then to be in the present moment, you literally have to have no other input for a little bit. Be willing to sit in a room and go, well, what do I like about this place? This room is adorable. You can't really see all of it, but like I was noticing that as I was clearing and blessing it earlier, is like, oh, that's really cute. The way the light bounces off of this. It's that. It is looking at your situations for what is awesome, instead of keeping a running list of what isn't there that you wish was instead. And then you're happy. You start to be happy when you are looking at your life for, oh, this is good, without all those influences that are trying to keep you unhappy so that you will constantly be reaching for something they want you to grab. And that is always about your industry and your energy and your focus. Your focus is your magic. Your focus is your ability to manifest. Your focus is your ability to be happy. Everything lies in regaining your focus, and simplification is one of the easiest ways to do that. Now, I took it to extreme the levels, but I almost always do. It's the way that I like to do that. I like to do deep dives on things. About a year ago, and it really is about a year ago, it was the day after I had my beloved dog Oscar put to sleep, who really experienced grief real time for the first time in my life, because almost every person who I had died that was close to me, it was something of a relief when that person went. And so this was the pure, I miss this animal every single day of my life. I love Oscar. I love Puddles too. Puddles had dementia towards the end, and so I have 2 years of very difficult memories where it really was a tremendous relief when poor Puddles was gone. But Oscar had a growth on his leg that was growing into his bone. There was a bunch of other things that it wasn't fair to put an older dog through an amputation, I didn't feel. And so I didn't do that. And the way he was balanced, it was his front leg. There was a big, long story with it, but there's a reason that I wish my dog was still here, but understood that it wasn't for the best. And after that, I made a commitment to myself where I'm going to spend 1 year where my primary relationship, my caretaking responsibility is to me and me alone. Because I have struggled, as most women in America who are told you must have a dude in order to be a complete person did, I struggled with codependency. The only cure for codependence is independence, so I was like, okay, I'll be the most independent person. And I cut off almost every social contact I had. And to the people who ended up feeling a little cut off, I'm really sorry. I did not have the energy to explain to literally everybody this is what I'm doing, because all throughout the year, these reach outs would come from people, and it would have required too much social interaction to explain it over and over again and make sure they felt okay with my choice. It's just like I just had to make that choice. I had to isolate myself in order to really identify what was going on with me. So don't be afraid of being a little bit isolated as you go through the what makes me happy. Because if you identify what makes you happy, if you can find your happiness without an external influence, without social media, without constant contact with friends, without the things that are telling you this is what happiness is rather than you feeling it, then you win. You win the Game of Thrones that is your life. You will be the ruling monarch in your own energy. And so that's what I did. And the year's up on, I think, Thursday of this week. So about 2 days from now. It's 2 days from now. And it made the biggest difference in my life ever. It was the thing that allowed me to develop this method for teaching other people specifically, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's going to work. You're going to feel better. You're going to get stuff that is best for you. Because at the end of your healing journey, when you are healed, your list of what you want is different. Because it no longer contains the you should want this, and if you get that, you will be happy. And I will tell you some of the things from my list. I used to live in big and beautiful houses, and they were impressive to other people. Even when I'm looking at real estate these days, no, I don't want that. I'm not comfortable around it. My year of isolation, which psychologists tell you is terrible for you and was fantastic for me, because I am neurodivergent. Now, I don't really know what form of neurodivergent I am. My father, as I did more and more research, it turned out he was autistic. But I'm a more functioning person than my father was. So I'm not positive that that means that I have autism. It's possible, because social interaction is incredibly draining for me. But I don't know for sure, and that is not something I'm interested in pursuing, because that's a label and a limiting thing for me. Not that there's anything wrong with identifying yourself as autistic, it's just that I have been putting energy into something different. I have long understood that I am neurodivergent, and I started finding out about it in weird ways. One of the things I found out was I didn't realize I'm mildly dyslexic, but I am, which is funny. I'm a voracious reader, but I was talking to my eye doctor about, like, oh, when the letters switch back and forth and they're upside down, it's like, yeah, I have that with my astigmatism. He's like, that is not an astigmatism, that's dyslexia. I was like, oh crap. Okay, so I have been compensating for multiple ways in which I am neurodivergent. Whatever I am, I'm super high functioning because I have no intellectual disability or developmental delay in an intellectual capacity. I'm a voracious learner and I'm a good self-teacher and a couple of other things. But that year alone was the thing that I needed because my entire difficult journey was about trying to be something that I wasn't made to be. My brain is literally different. It explains a great many things about me, including why I don't do super well with getting very, very close to people. I understand other people's emotions at a very deep level and can even explain them to them accurately in a way that makes sense, which is why I can't say with any conviction, oh, I must be autistic, because that is one of the leading definitions of it. It's like, but no, I do really well with that. Admittedly, I would have said I was the uber introvert because I find it incredibly draining to be around people. And I approach literally everything in life as something that I can break down and analyze and then put together in a better shape. So I don't know. I don't know what form of neurodivergent I am. I just know that I absolutely am one. And so my year alone helped me. And how much will it change me going forward about social connection? I now am a lot more comfortable with doing what is best for me. And that is what giving yourself permission to periodically disconnect and do it on a taper. If you have been constantly on your phone, then you're not going to be able to do what I do, which is when I'm done working, this is on Do Not Disturb. It is in this room and I am not in this room. So like sometimes there's literally no point in texting me because it could take me days to answer if I'm not working. And I had to set a very firm boundary with that. So when I'm working, constantly in touch because I need to be. When I'm working, I'm constantly doing cards for myself and for other people because I need that information to inform what I need to teach other people. But when I'm not, I step away from this world into a more natural form of connection. And here's what started to happen when I did that and why I recommend it to so many people. I did not realize that I had proof of something being very protective of me for this entire last 4 years of my life as I was trying so hard to heal. Until about 2 years ago. And it's when I was really starting to hike a lot in the mornings. And I was, struggling with the aftermath of my ex-husband had used PTSD against me to keep me confused and keep me triggered. And it was catastrophically painful to me on multiple levels. And for a while, I really struggled with why would somebody do that? And it's like, well, he has all his own crap. God knows whatever happened to him that made him think it's okay to treat another person like that. But I've let it go. He is who he is, and his karma is his, and he is gone from my life. And as I had let it go, I began to start thinking about, what was good about that? And there were so many good things. I had wonderful trips. I had great experiences. Sometimes he was incredibly kind to me and spoiled me, like a lot with, like the skin treatments I'm talking about. He never had a problem with me doing that. He was not, 100% anything. Nobody ever is. So it gave me a better balanced view of that. And I let go of all the pain and the betrayal and the how could you psychologically torture someone that loved you? I don't get that part to this day. And I don't ever expect an explanation on it. There isn't one that would ever explain that away other than, you're screwed up. And may you get better because that can't feel good. But I got better and I do feel good. And so I won. And just kind of that was the mindset I started to inhabit. But I realized I lived in a movie set level of pretty. Even if the place where I live is not as nice as the places I used to live, and it, don't have, central air, don't have, I don't have a microwave any longer. I could, I just don't. I don't have a dishwasher. I simplified my life tremendously. And with everything that I simplified, I said, well, if I don't like it, I'll just, do something different. And I started to realize on these morning hikes that it's oh, this is ridiculously pretty. I'm looking at a Vision Quest site for the Chumash, Boney Mountain, Point Mugu State Park, Point Doom. All of these things are close enough to me that I can get to them. And I do live in Southern California. That's going to make it a little bit obvious. But I realized it is insanely beautiful in all of the ways that is incredibly good for me. Because interacting with nature is one of the best ways to be present in the moment. And that is where you can reclaim that feeling of wonder, which is what we're talking about when you go back to when you were about 9 years old. The world was full of wonder and possibility. and you're retraining your eye to look at your world with wonder and possibility. And when you start doing that, you open up to more and more. And you start to be happier with less and less, which the power structures I'm talking about, the things that try to influence you, the external influence, the deceptive influence, they don't want you to be happy with what you have. They don't want you to be happy with less. They want you to think that you need more, that you will always need more, that the only way to be happy in this life is to strive for more and more and more and more. And the other thing that they tattoo into people is that as you age, you will become invisible and you will have less value. I am older and people do not treat me like I'm invisible. I have flaming, screaming red hair, so that might be part of it. I'm highly visible. But it also is that, like, I don't particularly care because I am so introverted that, like, I'm always projecting an energy of being just as happy as I can be. And the fact that has to do with consumerism and productivity as well. And it is part of the reason that, it's become a societally promoted thing to judge baby boomers as being like a monolith. They're not a monolith. There's going to be different individuals, different viewpoints within that. But the reason people try so hard to go backwards is we keep telling them you're irrelevant as you are. And those people have the time to get stuff done. So, like, maybe don't do that. Maybe consider that as an untapped force of change for good if you could just say to them, you still matter and you have experience. And the people who are in that position, quit trying to go backwards. Nobody has a productive journey going backwards. You want to go forwards. And the world is amazing, and your experience is whatever you make it to be. And if you invest in the labels of other people, I'm going to tell you one of the best things about the concept of being a little bit more invisible, which I really don't experience very much, but the best part of it is that there is no part of me that is supposed to make sure I'm attractive to a dude all the time. It's nice. They don't tell you that part. It's like, oh, this is good. I walk around the world for the most part still doing what I want. Now, every now and then I'm friendly and, it's not all men like trying to get with you or something, but men can be socially friendly as well. So I socialize with men on a fairly regular basis. Out in the world, I encounter people. They are likely to speak to me. I am usually not the person speaking first unless you have a dog, and then I'm absolutely talking to your dog first. Because I connect easily with animals, but I seem like a happy person, and so people talk to me. And the way that I got happy was to let go of any idea of what's supposed to make me happy and finding out what really does. You have the answers within you. If you are sad, you are anxious, you are depressed, I do not blame you. What a scary world we are living in. But there was a time, there was an experience, there was a moment, there is a memory where that was not your prevailing energy, not your prevailing response, and not your prevailing emotion. And you can find that within you again. If you can remember being happy, it is a place that you are trying to get back to, but not by going backwards, by finding the feeling and inhabiting it. And that is what you are doing when you are disconnecting and trying to be more present. And that's what being present is being in this moment and looking at it for what is making me happy. And sometimes that what is making me happy might be the adorable dog video on TikTok. The only thing I miss about interacting with social media on a regular basis is I miss the animal videos. I do. But because with TikTok was my favorite platform, and they are playing reindeer games with yanking it away every 90 days, and then, a stay of execution. That will wear out, by the way. What is being conducted with our trade wars, our cold wars, our distractions is a known tactic in war. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, is you're supposed to behave unpredictably. You're supposed to distract your enemy. You are particularly supposed to be unpredictable is one of the things that is going on with our leadership. And why? They have an agenda behind it. I don't care about that, so I'm not going to talk about it. And I really urge you to invest more in the building of community for yourself, and to understand there will always be things beyond your control, and to do the best that you can in every situation, and you will be good with whatever constitutes karma for negative lessons to be learned about indifference to other people. Care as much as you can, but try so hard to remember that in this particular, because I study history, we are in a repeating cycle of history. It's not a great cycle. Some of the information that came out before the election indicated we would have a completely different response. And I realized afterwards that we are in a fateful cycle, and nothing changes fate except the collective choice of people. And it didn't get made this time. But you can make a choice to be the kindest, most generous, most decent version of yourself, the one that you like the best. The times that you like yourself the most, if you undertake this kind of journey, you'll inhabit that energy pretty much all the time. And then you'll be happier. And when you're happier, you want less because you're not trying to get somewhere, you are somewhere. And usually it starts with being in that present moment. What do I have right now that is amazing? And like my eye just fell on my water glass, which by the way, I really like these little pink glasses. One of the things that I did after I got divorced was I gave myself permission to be girly if I felt, because my ex-husband was someone who didn't like that sort of thing. He didn't want things to be too girly. I like pink things. I like flowery things. I like that. It's probably the most girly thing about me. And that's a gender programming thing. But it's also what I'm attracted to. I like bright colors. I like pretty things. But the reason the water became important is I do still read news. I limit the amount of exposure I have to the crumbling power structures around us, but it's important to be informed. And I was reading about Kabul in Afghanistan, which is an ancient city, and it's about to run dry if it hasn't already. And what does that mean? It means it doesn't have a water source any longer. And I'm reading about these people having to go out in the morning with their buckets and their containers, and they're searching just for water, as I'm standing here with this pretty pink glass filled with quality drinking water, because that's my lot in life. And I just felt so grateful to whatever helped bring me to this beautiful, safe place and provided me with all the things I would ever need to heal if I would just do the work to do it. And so I did. And that's the first thing in being happy, is understanding you might have to go through the land of why do I feel unhappy? And that's your healing work. And almost always it's because you don't have a lot of belief in yourself or this world. Disconnecting from this world and just interacting with the people in it will frankly give you a better experience than viewing it on social media. When you go on social media, you see these people having these epic meltdowns and all kinds of weird crap, and it's this small aberration, and we're led to believe that it's this really big thing. But when you walk through the world, you don't see it very frequently in most places. So which view of the world is more valid? Because you're living in the world where you're not really seeing it unless you're seeking it out. And that's what really becomes the key to literally everything that you're trying to achieve, is be careful what you're seeking out. Be careful what you're taking in. And that is not to become some kind of purist, because I don't do anything in an extreme form. I don't eat meat, but I don't refer to myself as a vegan, even when I'm on long stints of just being a vegan, because rigid structures are something that I need to get away from, because I have like 5 disorders that I walk around with, and extremism is not good for disordered thinking. And so I don't do it. I don't have a lot of regimented stuff. And I also found that I was dedicating way too much of my energy to things like working out. I used to work out 6 days a week. It's not even good for you. But I used to do that, and I used to work out super, super hard. And now, after this year of healing, what I realized is if I work out on the 5th day every single time, I will have no loss of muscle. That I'm strong enough. I'm not trying to chase after anything any longer. Yesterday I was lifting weights that after I came back after a break to heal my tendonitis, I dropped my weights by 2.5 pounds on both sides, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I have adjustable weights. So I was like curling 22.5 on both sides. So, 45 pounds altogether. I dropped 2.5 pounds on both sides. And then for squats and lifts and all that, I also dropped those weights. So I dropped my weights 2.5 pounds on both sides, knowing that I had just come off from a break and I would be super sore. I was super sore the first time, and I was waiting for it to get easy because that's lighter than I used to lift on absolutely everything. And yesterday was the day where I was like, oh crap, this is easy. And there is a part of me that always tells me, make it harder, because if you're challenged, then it burns off your extra energy. And I want that extra energy for being happy and for being able to manifest what I want, which I always am trying to manifest a calm, peaceful, happier existence. And so I figured out what was the least I could do to get the same results. And that's the other thing that you need to do, is that our world encourages hustle and push and quest and seek and Everybody who is trying to make something happen monetarily, who is also on a spiritual journey and not just a law of attraction one, because you can combine the two, please remember your spirit guides will not help you do anything that hurts you. It is like it's against their mission statement. They work with our choices, not the other way around. So sometimes they give you the best possible outcome you can get from the choices that you've made, which, I've gone into that with me before. But they cannot help you achieve something that will be bad for you. And if you're overworking, if you're overcommitting your energy, if all you think about is, how do I do the next thing? And I'm always crushed under all my responsibilities and I have so much stress, they will not help you with that. They will help you get rid of the stress. But it will likely involve taking a different approach to things. I consider myself the luckiest person that I know, and that I really do, even considering the weird backstory that I have. And weird, it was bad. I mean, there's no point. Sometimes when I have to consider it, I realize that if I was reading this in a case study, I'd be like, there is no way that person is okay. And in fact, I was not. But I am now. And it was a long journey of making sure that I could be. But I still consider myself very fortunate because I have met such kind people. I have had such good experiences. I land in a safe place over and over again. I am the cat landing on my feet over and over and over again. And as long as I don't give up, things always get better. And I have a knack for making things better. And the whole reason I do these podcasts and I do the Patreon, which I keep at a super low cost, so that people can learn these things as well, is because everybody deserves to use their personal power to fuel their own journey. And we have too many influences telling us, use your personal power to support your society, your religion, your political structure, this belief, this teacher. You want that power for yourself. When I'm always talking about connecting to the divine, remember, I'm never talking about religion. Religion is your go-between. Get rid of your go-betweens. Get rid of your go-betweens. You have a unique connection to a higher self, to a divine presence, and stop thinking about it in the ways that it is defined through the narratives that were created during times where people needed a story they could invest in. One of the things I was thinking about as I was looking at Boney Mountain this morning is that I can understand, because it's called Boney Mountain because it looks like a dragon basically lying down in the back. And I don't know if the Chumash thought it was a dragon or not, but I was looking at that going, yeah, 500 years ago, somebody sitting around, they would make up a story about that, but it would be inspired by the real energy of that. Mountains always have tremendous energy. I always do best when I'm close to trees and to mountains. I didn't do super well in Colorado because the sun was practically murdering me because I have almost no melanin in my skin. The Colorado mountains and I didn't get along as well as the Santa Monica mountains and I get along. And that is what you are looking for. You are looking for the point at which you say, this is nice, but it's coming from what is available to you that does not have a consciousness or an agenda behind it. And TikTok is wonderful, and social media can be great. But you always have to keep in mind at the root of it is somebody who's trying to exploit me for money. And we see it played out in people like Jeff Bezos. I really don't care how the man pronounces his name. What a disappointment he has become to the globe. He started out as a decent enough guy who had things like the Angel Network and seemed to be a caring person. He started his business in a garage, and now he's a greed goblin. They all are. All they care about is more, 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 more. It's like, do you not know the word enough? And how can you feel absolutely no obligation to the people who made you that rich? I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't need to. The more I disconnect from it, the less and less I need. And that is what you are doing when you are pursuing happiness, is you're identifying what you need and what lights you up. And if somebody else is telling you it, then you're using their answer instead of yours. And what you're trying to do is tie into your personal power for your own healing and for your own guidance. Sometimes you might need medication. I will tell you honestly, I probably should have gone on medication for my depression. I chose not to, and I did manage to clear it up with exercise and diet and, very healthy habits. There is always going to be a part of me that wonders, would it have been easier if I just would have, marched off and gotten Prozac or something? But I had a toxic reaction to an antidepressant many years ago. And so I'm a little bit leery of them. I also, my one weird thing that it's fine that you don't agree with this, I have multiple friends who are medical practitioners. I am not dissing your work relationships, but I personally feel we are over medicated as a society, encouraged to get constant checks. And, people will tell me I'm dead wrong, early detection, et cetera, et cetera. I make my choices in an informed capacity. And I am a very, very, very healthy person. And because of some things with my traumatic background, I would not do well with consistent medical intervention. And so that's what informed my choices. Is like, even if there's something hideously wrong with me, which I don't think there is because I feel pretty good, even if there is, my choice would be, I'm okay with the idea of this life being a finite experience, which is not the same thing as wanting to die. And that's the thing I'm going to leave you with, and I'm going to drop a trigger warning here because I'm about to discuss one of the things that goes with trauma that leads people to believe that they are never going to be happy. And it's because you don't know how to fall in love with being alive yet. Because usually your formative experience taught you to be afraid, to think that you weren't good enough. You maybe grew up with hypercritical caretakers. It took me until I was a full-grown woman to understand what an atrocious bully my mother was towards me. Like, she would criticize literally everything about me, like the way I stood, the way I walked, fat. Like, and I'm a size 6, guys. I'm not a big person. I never really have been. She was projecting all of her crap onto me. And she would just pick on somebody who was right there. And it took me a long time to understand, what a bullying influence that is in my life. When I'm talking to you about when I'm saying the first step in finding your happiness is find what you need to disconnect from, you do not realize it, but there are different levels of bullying. And every social media platform that tries to tell you that you are not good enough because you don't look like this, your house doesn't look like that, you are not getting brand endorsements, you're not, all of those things, they are trying to bully you into doing what they want you to do. And please do not forget that. But you can have interactions with something that has an agenda as long as you are taking away with it from what you want. Like, I could go on TikTok right now, not right now because I'm in the middle of a podcast, but I could go on TikTok later and look at every dog video that I like to cheer myself up if I wanted to, and then log out. I haven't gone near it in a while because, again, I've just been performing this, year of doing less and less and less to get to the core truth. That's really what you're doing during that time, is peel yourself like an onion, and at the center is your answer. But simplifying is the way to find what's supposed to be at that core. Because when you take something away, you will know whether or not you miss it. And sometimes you will recognize that something that started out good did not go in a good direction. I've referred before to Angry Birds 2 and how I used to play that because I liked it, because I'm good at it, because I like being able to both deconstruct and construct things. It's just how my brain works. I basically have an engineer's mind in a very weird way. It made a change in an update, so it was always active in the background, and I didn't like it. And so I was like, okay, I'm deleting this. And so I deleted it to see if it would log out, reloaded it up, it was still connected, and I deleted it entirely and walked away. About 3 days later, I was like, I felt a feeling of I'm sad, I've lost this thing. But it no longer was beneficial. I noticed as things were going on, ad breaks got longer and longer and longer, because they're trying to pull your focus and, again, kind of brainwash you. Everything that you interact with is trying to make you feel something, think something, and do something. And in order to be happy, you have to figure out what you want to do. And that means dulling the voices around you and hearing your own. So that's why simplifying is the key to happiness. And the other thing, again, is allowing yourself to take a moment and go, everything else can wait. Because that's the question to heal your anxiety. Can this thought wait? And almost always yes. And we fritter away so much of our life's potential, dreading what's coming up, instead of going, I will figure that out when the time comes. Everything's going to be okay. When I have time and energy, I will deal with that. But it's not urgent right now, so I'm going to let it go. Allowing yourself to stop your intrusive thoughts on that and literally saying, no, that's not good for me. I'm not going to do it right now. Instead, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to put my energy into something, reading, creating, cooking, doing, hiking, biking, whatever it might be. And if you say, no, I'll name her name is Sammy Coates. There's a creator on TikTok who loves luxury brands. Now, she almost always buys secondhand, and I actually think she's marvelous. She likes it for the artistry, for the connection to making herself feel good within her own skin. She's very much a non-conforming person, but she's a delightful, delightful human being. She's also obviously a trauma survivor, but you can still have that and know that it's bringing you joy. But this disconnection thing is the thing that tells you what brings you joy. So the key to happiness is the very first thing is understanding that it starts with you. It starts with a commitment to understanding there is something that lights me up, but I have too many things shining light into me to be able to identify my own light. And that is why stepping back where appropriate and slowing down where appropriate is very important. And the slowing down is a lot of the times we take responsibility for too much because of those things that are trying to influence us to say, we want your industry, we want your productivity, we want your energy, we want everything about you to serve our needs. And instead saying, the way that I will participate in that is I will allow just enough energy to serve my actual physical shelter, food, safety issues. Those are the things that that's first, you put your energy into that, and you're willing to pare back and pare back and pare back. And then when you do things like maybe go out for a meal or something, if you get used to cooking all your own food, it's a great big special diversion like it used to be. We have created the need to buy to be able to just function. And so it creates more and more deficit. And the key is stepping back and weeding that garden. You are a garden. Weed it of what is not necessary. And then what remains is the thing that makes you happy. And for me, the stuff that makes me happy is different from other people. But like I said, I'm neurodivergent, and it turns out I am different from other people. And that was a hard bridge for me to cross, by the way, and expect that in the healing journey. Oh, and by the way, why is this all connecting you to your ability to manifest in your spirit guides? When you are happy, there is no interfering static around your thought process any longer, and you get your stuff very easily. It's that simple. Simplifying your life means that you are turning down the noise all the way around you so that you can hear your voice. And that's what you need to hear, because you are a unique divine soul. There is something, what makes me happy may not make you happy, but you need to go looking for it. If you are constantly grasping, want this, these algorithms will tell you, want this, and you're like, I do want that, that's envy. If you are saying, oh, that's nice, but I don't need it, that's a feeling of contentment. And that's what you're trying to find, is that I have what I need. What else is there in my experience? And the thing that was difficult for me in the whole, oh, you're neurodivergent thing, whether it's autism or some non-specified spectrum disorder, which is what I actually think it likely is that I think it's something for people who have a tendency to be a hypersensitive as well. And that does mean a lot of psychics, because when you're hypersensitive, you can pick up on other things. It's not just hypervigilance. But the problem with that became, I've spent my entire life trying to figure out how to be like other people. Because I grew up in such bizarre circumstances that I was like, that it looked like it was normal from the outside, but it was not. And it didn't bear much scrutiny. I mean, you open the door to the house and it was like, there is no furniture in this gigantic house. What the heck is going on here? It was a strange circumstance that I grew up in. So I thought the answer was be like everybody else. And in discovering, no, you are neurodivergent, and I don't know what kind it is. I discovered that my entire life I had been trying to be something that it literally would not be possible for me to be. And there was a little bit of like, oh, wow, whoa, wasted my whole life. But I grew up in a time where these definitions and understandings and criteria and data and research did not exist yet. I have a lot of company in the, oh, it turns out I'm neurodivergent, and no wonder everything was more challenging for me, and literally think everything I'd ever struggled with was a symptom. And for a while, it was a little bit like, that seems like a really hard piece of information to receive this late in life, but it was a very key one. And letting myself off the hook and allowing myself to be like, well, then I should pursue what makes me happiest, even if a level of isolation that does not suit everyone else is best for me. And so I have more isolation in my life because I'm happy by myself. And I've always been someone who is positive there's something else there. It really, really surprised me when I got older, and it's like, oh, so you don't feel anything there at all. Huh. Like, to me, that's foreign. Because I've always known there was something there. And when people get readings from me and they're like, oh no, she's clearly connected to something, because I know stuff I'm not supposed to. I've always known something was there. And so I never feel lonely. I never feel lonely. My relationship to the thing that was there underwent a lot of changes, because for a long time, the way I viewed it was like, you cannot possibly like me very much if you stuck me with all of this. And then I got to know myself a lot better, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I bet that there is some incorporeal waiting room where you were over there going, I volunteer, because it sounded really hard, and that you're going to take it like enough willpower to like be absolutely interchangeable with stubbornness sometimes, because it would take that level of like, oh, screw you, I'm just going to keep doing this until I get it right. That is a part of my personality. It makes sense. And it was on that day when I was looking around on a hike where I was like, this is ridiculously beautiful. How lucky am I that I walk out my front door and this is literally all around me all the time. And I realized how much I love where I live. I can't stay here because of the overreaching, like, materialism is very, very important here. And I know it's not the right place for me in the long run, but just realizing how much I loved it here. And it just, over the course of time, everything you can find the positive in if you keep looking. And if you keep looking, happiness becomes a state you return to very, very easily. But it does start with being able to say, I accept that I was taught to want the things that would make me happy, but I have found they are not making me happy, which means I need to learn different lessons and do different things to get a different outcome. And I'm okay with the idea that I was wrong, because I was encouraged to believe these things. There was something influencing me, but now I influence me, and my higher self influences me, and my spirit guides influence me, and my path became clear to me, and my strength of connection also increased. And these are all things that can happen for you as well. So that was all about, happiness, how it relates to manifestation, and how to start going towards more happiness. The healing part's rough. The healing part is rough, but it gets better. And as it is rough, as you are going into the old stuff where you're like, I just cried for 2 hours from old grief, keep telling yourself it will get better, because it will. And the thought that thoughts create your reality, tell yourself, I can make a commitment to me. I can make a commitment to me to put on my headphones and dance around for 3 songs, because it'll elevate my brain chemistry and return something to me that will elevate my mood. I take responsibility for the choices that I make, because within my choices are the seeds of happiness. And when you start making the choices that serve that, you're happy, and that is the same thing as inhabiting the energy of having what you want, because you'll be happy, and more will come to you. And it really is a limitless kind of thing. But again, don't be too surprised if you don't want stuff on the same level. There's very few material things. I like soft things and comfortable things, so that's always going to be the thing that gets to me. You will still have some things, because you're human and you're meant to be connected to yourself as you are a human being. I hope this has made sense to you, and I hope you found it helpful. Whatever stage you are at in your journey, whether you're just beginning it because you're healing, whether you're in the middle of it, and there are plateaus in healing, by the way. You will reach a stage where you're like, this is better. What you don't realize is there's like 4 levels of better yet. Just hang on with it. It's like you're draining out a giant bathtub, basically. And at the very end, like, there's still going to be some going towards the drain. You're draining away all the false influence to find your unique influence for your own happiness. And that starts with having a better relationship to you. And that starts with the concept of self-love. But the thing you really want to tell yourself is, I'm going to figure out today how I'm going to fall in love with being alive. And the thing that I started to go down the path of, and I will cover very quickly, is trauma survivors don't know how to be in love with being alive, because they didn't have happy childhoods or happy relationships. Sometimes they were bullied even though they had a really good home life. If you've had a long period of consistent unhappiness, it has taken away from the idea that you can be simply happy. Don't blame yourself for it, and understand that it's like, I recognize that, but I know I have been happy at different points, which means I can be. All I need to do is identify how to increase that. And that's your job. That's your job, to be happier. Identify what really makes you happy. Now, listen, if you have like a hurting other people makes me happy, get help. Get help. Get help. That's not shaming or damning or anything. It's not condemnation. There's so much help available, and you deserve to feel better than that. You deserve to feel better than that. You will live in the energy you create. And so you want to create something that is loving and kind and patient and good to you. And you deserve that. So if you do not know how to find happiness except in making other people feel smaller, then nobody is blaming you for that. It's a harsh world. But please start going towards healing, because you can feel better than that. And really healed people recognize somebody else trying to hurt them and go, I'm sorry you're trying to hurt me, but it's not getting to me because I know why you're doing it. The misery wants company concept is there. Happiness is within your memory as well. When we talk about the past being memory and the future being illusion, and all you really have is the present moment, from the present moment, when you are grounded, when you are looking at that which is making you happy, you can look back at your past and go, what was it about that day? What was it about that moment? And for me, the thing I was forgetting is that because I really, 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 really like to be alone, because of the neurodivergence thing, is almost all of my happy memories had to do with me being alone and near trees and near nature. And that's what really, really, really helps me. I can't have too much sun, but I really, really, really like nature. Within you is the key. And when you find the key, you open that door, and that's where you manifest from, because you're peaceful, you're content. You easily return to this is a screwed up world and nothing is perfect around me, but I can still be happy within this moment, because happiness is within a moment. It is not a place you're trying to get. It is a feeling you're trying to inhabit. And you start inhabiting it by dulling the voices that are trying to tell you what should make you happy. But they don't know you, and you do. So get to know you, and you will find your answers. This has been Logical Magic, examining esoterica, the quest for happiness and how it pertains to the law of attraction. Obviously, at the end of these, I always say something like, it cannot possibly be that, labored title. But that's one of my little battles, is that I don't phrase things in the way other people do. I don't know why. I guess it's because I have a different brain, and you probably do too. Please remember that averages and conforming is something that a power structure wants you to do. Figure out who you are, and you'll find your happiness. Take care. Be well. Thanks so much for joining me. You can find me at therisingmoon.com exclusively if you need to book me for a tarot card reading, a life coaching session to discuss what you might need to do to find your personal happiness. A tarot at the Rising Moon on YouTube, and then Logical Magic Examining Esoterica on Patreon, where I teach people how to heal their stuff, emotionally regulate, and use it to manifest. I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care. Be well.